The Sixers are in complete turmoil as they fall to 2-11 last night after another brutal loss, an epic collapse of 19 points in about a quarter and a half to the Miami Heat. And after the game, this team held a private players, coaches only meeting. And today we find out the details of that meeting. And man, I just have so much to say. Feels like it's going to be one of those classic RB rants. And it feels very eerily similar to a video I made about 3 years ago on this channel, talking about the beginning of the end for Ben Simmons and saying that it was either now or never. This was the time that you had to make it right, turn things in a positive direction, or let it dissolve until it breaks 100%. And today was a turning point for the 76ers, either good or bad. And I want to preface this video by saying a couple things. Number one, I'm only going off what was reported. So if there's incorrect info out there, I'm just reacting to what has been put out in public display. There's going to be some things said today that I don't think I've ever said. And I just cannot believe we are here. But I'm only going off what was reported. And also, I think today was the true make or break moment for the 76ers. And what I mean by that is, from here on out, we either look at this moment in February, March, and April and say, remember when that happened? Like, that was the moment that turned the season around. Or, as we've seen before in similar instances in other teams, organizations, sports, this is the moment where it gets really dark and really ugly and things just completely fall apart. So that is where I'm at, and I'm going to flip it over to you before we get into the crazy rant. Do you think that this is the make or break moment? In turn, will this be the moment that the Sixers resurrect their season, or do you think they're done? Do you think they are officially cooked? Before I get into it, let me give a shout out to our great sponsor of today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, with the season finally here, I have been looking for the best deal on Sixers tickets, and today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events on SeatGeek, including concerts, sport games, festivals, and more. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about actually going to see Paul George's first game back against the Clippers in November at the Wells Fargo Center, and it is all thanks to SeatGeek's amazing deals. Football's in the heart of the season. Basketball season is finally back. Plus, there are artists like Post Malone and Justin Timberlake out on tour right now, and SeatGeek puts all the tickets across the web in one place to make sure you are getting a good deal. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. So go ahead and check out all those great deals, and I had to come through for you guys. Use the code PHILLYTAKE for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. Once again, that is $20 off your first purchase with promo code PHILLYTAKE. Make sure you click the link down in the description to download the app. All right, man, where do we even start with all of this? So I'm going through some things today, and I'm thinking, what do I even talk about with this team? Do I talk about how they can maybe improve, or maybe I just go on the fact that they're pretty much the worst in every category, every margin? The star doesn't look healthy. They don't look like they care. They blew another 19-point lead, and they're 2-11. Where do I go? And then, boom, served right up on a silver platter is one of the biggest articles we have ever seen from Charania this afternoon. ESPN reporting inside the Sixers team meeting Monday night amidst a 2-11 start in which a star challenged All-NBA center Joel Embiid. Now, I don't believe Shams 100% of the time, but this is very specific wording, right? It feels like somebody leaked this out. Who the hell leaked this information out? I know you guys have probably read the article, so I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but there are some key things that we need to talk about in this article. Sources: Tyrese Maxey challenges Joel Embiid in Sixers meeting. The loss was the team's 4th in a row, where veteran guard Kyle Lowry had to call for a meeting. Kyle Lowry, of all people's, calling for the meeting? The guy who played 19 minutes last night, went like 0 for 4, and can't do anything on the floor. He's 35 million years old. A much-needed heart-to-heart and a call to action and urgency. If you didn't think the season was in jeopardy of blowing up, here you go. A call to action with urgency. players and coaches held each other accountable and took fault in the start to the season. And here's where it gets spicy, man. Tyrese Maxey challenged Joel Embiid to be on time to team activities, calling out the 2022-23 league MVP about being late, quote, for everything, and how it impacts the locker room from other players to the coaching staff, sources briefed on the meeting. Wow. So immediately I tweet this out and, people are responding. Wow, great job, Tyrese Maxey. Congrats on the great leadership. What a guy. What a young stud in this organization. I'm going to be honest. I don't give a crap about Tyrese Maxey today. I don't care, and I'm going to do my best to keep this family friendly. But what the hell are we talking about Tyrese Maxey? This is the first time we've ever heard about Embiid being late to everything, to team activities, to practices. Are you kidding me? Tyrese loves the big fella, but this is the elephant in the room? A person involved in the meeting told ESPN. What? Players told Coach Nick Nurse they want to be coached harder, and coaches in turn said they want players to practice with purpose and attention to detail. Embiid accepted the messages sent in the meeting, but stated he is sometimes confused about what the Sixers are attempting to execute on the court. This team is a complete disaster. Then we get this little tidbit from Shams on the Pat McAfee show. Yesterday, Embiid listed as doubtful most of the day. Teammates, coaches, nobody really saw him or heard. And then he shows up at the warm-ups and plays in the game. So we can go down everybody on the list like we have for years. The Sixers are an absolute shit show. And I'm going right into the scope of looking at Joel Embiid. I can't even begin to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, on this day, at this specific time, because there's been a lot that's happened. We can go and talk about the entire history of the last 8 to 10 years, but I cannot tell you how incredibly disappointed I am in Joel Embiid right now. If this is true, this is the worst look. Let's start it off with the Joel Embiid return. He comes back after the ramp-up plan. And you remember I said a couple weeks ago how every time they ask Nick Nurse or they ask another coach or Tyrese Maxey or Paul George about this stupid-ass plan, everybody seems to deflect onto the next person. They don't have an answer for it. And you know what I've realized today? There is no ramp-up plan. The plan is an excuse because Joel Embiid was never recovered after last year. Thank you for coming back and playing in the playoffs. I've always respected and always defended Joel for being tough, willing to put his body on the line, his personal health. And then he goes and plays in the playoffs, played pretty well, and then decides to play in the Olympics and starts joking around about that and trolling about that. Oh, I finally won something. Ha, ha, ha. By the way, on a side note, last night, he says after this meeting, when they asked him, I didn't even know we had a meeting. Pretty much either trolling or not wanting to talk about it. I didn't hear that exactly, so I don't know how he said it. But he's been joking and trolling, and the ramp-up plan was actually nothing at all. Joel Embiid was not ready to go to begin the season, and that deserves consequences. Joel Embiid, after the Olympics, must have went home, sat his ass on the couch like he does every offseason, and did absolutely nothing. He must have ate burritos, Twinkies, Starbursts, and drank all the sugar in the world, and just sat there and didn't get his health right for the season. And nobody even knew how to talk about it, so he misses the first 9 games, and then he comes back, and he looks terrible. Last night, it was the same demon over and over again. Anytime he plays Miami, the guy is scared to get in the paint. Was he making pretty good passes? Sure. But he only shot, 9 times? He was not being assertive. He was not being aggressive. He doesn't look healthy at all, and it's because he doesn't prepare to get his body in the right manner. And Joel Embiid, as we now are learning, is not only not healthy on the floor, but he's becoming a distraction off the floor as well. You are supposed to be the leader of this team. And Joel, I've defended your ass for years. I've defended you above everybody, and deservedly so in a lot of cases. I know a lot of people are going to try to pull up the history now, but fact of the matter is, it's not Joel Embiid's fault that he had to deal with all this trauma from the organization. But are you at a point now where you're willing to quit? Are you giving up on this team or not? Who the hell are you? Like Shaq said a week and a half ago, and I ripped him, which obviously I look like an ass about right now. Who are you? Who do you want to be remembered as? Joel Embiid has had the spotlight on him today. It's not Joel Embiid's fault that the Sixers drafted a number 1 pick who's scared to shoot the basketball, who's going to be out of the league next year at 29 years old. They drafted a number 1 pick who developed a rare condition, can't shoot the ball. They let Jimmy Butler walk, Mikal Bridges, Tobias. We could talk about all of it and more. I've defended you beyond all that. But the one thing that people constantly come on here and tell me is, RB, the guy doesn't want it enough. He's not a winner. He doesn't have that leadership mentality. And we've heard that before. And we've heard that Joel is more of a passive leader and he's not vocal. But this stuff right here is absolutely inexcusable. Showing up late to meetings and then it's, well, I don't know what the plan is on the floor. Isn't that what the whole preseason and training camp is about? To get on the same page? You know why nobody knows what the plan is on the floor? Because the big three haven't played together yet. Because your ass isn't in shape. This team is an absolute disgrace. This was supposed to be the season where it all comes together. And you're not ready to play. You come back, you look terrible, and you're not setting a good example for anybody on this team. And it was Tyrese Maxey, of all people, a 24-year-old kid who had to come in here and set your ass straight today. An actual young superstar who, by the way, we're talking about revisionist history. The Sixers are so lucky to even have gotten on this team because he was a COVID pick, and it was like, just put your hand in the basket at that point. If the Sixers didn't have Tyrese Maxey, where would this organization be? So it's a culmination of terrible front office work. It's a culmination of the worst luck I've ever seen with an organization, and it's a culmination of bad leadership. The Sixers with Joel Embiid, with Ben Simmons, they've let these guys come in here and establish a soft culture. They have let them come in here and every year walk around like they're the man, walk around and do whatever they want, no consequence at all. That's why Ben Simmons never shot a damn jump shot, because you gave him 180 M's guaranteed, telling him he didn't have to. Nobody ever said, I'm going to bench your ass if you don't shoot. And we've defended you throughout everything. But you know what? It's my fault. It is. I got to take a lot of this because I've been telling myself for the last 2 years. That moment in Game 6 against Boston, there's a lot of moments we can point to. That moment against Boston in Game 6 when you crumpled on your home floor felt like the end, man. It felt like the end. And then they went out in Game 7 and got absolutely waxed by the Celtics. And that moment told me, man, they're never beating these guys. They're never doing it. And another thing about moments is that you have to make the most of the moments that you have. You have to capitalize. And I remember arguing with so many individuals, and I'm not going to name them all, but hey, you know, we can't worry because Joel's not in his prime yet. Hey, we can't worry because Ben and Joe aren't 27, 28. They have to learn how to win first. Well, for one, the Celtics shattered that last year. But number two, even if you're right, even if guys need to develop, get more experience, and get in that winning mindset and go through the treacherous times to get to the, big achievements, what you didn't take into consideration is that Joel Embiid is not your average player. He's not going to play till he's 40 because he's brittle, because he gets injured 5 times a season. He's not probably going to play past 34, 35 at a high level, and he's on his last couple of opportunities. But for him to come in here and set such a putrid example for this team, and people have been saying it. I'm getting a lot of people calling into the postgame show, hey, man, Embiid's not even there. He's joking around on the sideline, and he's laughing and this and that. And now we learn he's coming to meetings late, and he's not really showing up. Has he just quit? Has he given up? I'll give you another great example, man. Last week when the Sixers played the Cavs, who are undefeated, by the way, they're 15-0. Sixers almost took that team down without Joel Embiid, without Paul George, without Tyrese Maxey. You know why? Because they had young players who were moving up and down the floor quick, and because they cared. They actually wanted it. Last night, as soon as the Sixers' 19-point lead crumpled, they looked like they didn't give a shit on the bench. They kept showing them panoramic view. and everybody looks like they just got hit with a blindside bet. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. And I'm also starting to think that with Joel on the floor, yes, he can be a contribution to a winning team, but you got to play fast, man. We keep talking about guard league, wing lead, or maybe the big man are relevant now. You got to play fast, man. Every time Jared McCain touches the rock, it's quick. Dribble, dribble, pull up, or dribble, dribble, spin. Nice soft touch on the layup. Same thing with Tyrese Maxey. And then you have Paul George, who's being paid $50 million a year, and that takes me back to the damn GM, because while we're hearing from Nurse, and it looks like Nurse doesn't really have much to say, and then you have the GM who's nowhere to be found, who constructed this roster. It's just so confusing. I asked a question on Twitter yesterday and in the postgame show, what are the top issues with the team? What's the number one reason that they are in this spot? Is it Joel Embiid's absence and lack of team chemistry because of that? Is it the players are just not good enough? Or is it that Nick Nurse is an absolute terrible coach this season? A lot of people said a mix, but now we're starting to see Joel Embiid's leadership is not there, and people have been saying this for years, and I've always defended him with the on-court stuff, and I do think he's had to deal with some absolute terrible crap that no other superstars had to deal with, but at some point, especially this season, when you get rid of all that, it is now down to you, and you are acting like a child. You can't keep coming out and saying, well, I'm not going to play back-to-backs, but I'm a troll, so maybe I will. Oh, by the way, I didn't even know we had a meeting last night. Joel, a couple weeks ago, we all defended you against Marcus Hayes after you shoved him for something he wrote, which I still don't agree with, but you came out to the media all pissed off, and you said, I've done too much for this effing city for people to treat me like this. Well, you know what, Joe? We haven't been past the second round yet. We've had 3 big opportunities, and like I said, going back to the, making the most and capitalizing, you didn't capitalize on the best opportunities of your career as a team. You didn't beat the Hawks. You didn't beat the Heat. You didn't beat the Celtics. And now you're in a spot where even starting 2-11, trying to sell false hope to the fans, you have so little room for error. There's no margin for error on this team. If Embiid gets sick and misses a couple more games, they might not even make the playoffs. And the ownership, Harris, sell the team, man. You're over there looking all preppy with the damn Commanders, even though the Eagles whooped your ass, and it was nice to see that. Why do you even have this team, man? You let this happen too. Daryl Morey had $50+ million in cap space. Literally, the roster was set up this past season with all one-year deals around Maxey and Embiid to get rid of everybody, to get draft picks, and to build the right competent roster around Embiid. And somebody the other night on the postgame said, Daryl Morey had the roster last year, got rid of all the extra dead weight, and built the same exact roster with Paul George. And I just can't unsee it right now. This team is so bad. It's not hard to see why this team is so bad. They are dead last in everything. Points, assists, rebounds. They do nothing. They do nothing well. And maybe that goes back to the point about being coached. Even if Joel does not agree with what they're doing on the floor, you're the damn superstar. Step up and say a damn word. If Nikola Jokic doesn't like what the Nuggets are doing, you think he just stays quiet? No, he takes over. He demands greatness. Same thing with Giannis, all these other guys, man. And it is so frustrating at this point to be in this spot where you think, all right, this is going to be the year you finally click things together. And now you've taken 10 steps backwards. And you know why Joel Embiid is sick every game? You know why he was regarded as being doubtful with an illness? Because he doesn't take care of his body, man. Like I said, what did he do in the Olympics? After the Olympics, what did he do? And did the Sixers give him a 3-year, $193 million extension after or before they knew he was not going to play the first 9 games of the season due to not being in shape? Did they give him that extension before or after they knew about showing up late to activities, not being a leader, not setting a prime example? It is a culture thing. It is an identity thing, and it has reared its ugly head year after year after year after year. It's why this team in the biggest games and the biggest moments always crumple. It's why they always lay down and die. And last night and a game before that, it looked like they wanted to just lay down and die. They can't even put up 90 points in a freaking basketball game. This team is an absolute disaster. You got 24-year-old Maxey having to be the leader of the team. Joel Embiid showing up late to activities and pouting. You have the players who don't think they're being coached hard enough by Nick Nurse. They want more attention to detail. This is a former championship head coach. Nick Nurse is playing old player after old player. I mean, we can look at the damn roster, man. Kyle Lowry's still playing 20-plus minutes a night. Eric Gordon's playing almost 20 minutes a night. When you got young guys at the end of the bench who get no opportunity, I mean, he wasn't even going to play McCain. And look at what Jared McCain's doing. He should not even be this good for a rookie. And the Sixers are relying on Jared McCain to win ball games because the stars on this team are underperforming. And I just can't take it with the mentality and the mindset of this team. And Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey look like the only bright spots right now. And, you know, to go through the entire past 8 to 10 years to be here, it's an absolute disgrace. So, with all that being said, I will end it by saying, this is now the final moment, Joel. This will be the beginning of the end if you don't wake up and start shredding everybody and come out on a tear. I want to see Joel Embiid come out now, use this as motivation. Don't do that stupid shit you did a couple years ago and, you know, shush everybody and I'm the villain. I don't want to see any Instagram posts. I don't want to see any trolling. I want you to get in shape. I want you to get healthy if needed and come out on the floor and start absolutely dominating. No more excuses. This team is 2-11. They are with the likes of Washington Wizards and Toronto Raptors. Do you know how bad they are? They haven't seen one game yet with Embiid, Maxey, and PG on the floor. This is a catastrophe. And Joel Embiid, it will be the beginning of the end if you don't wake the hell up. This is now your team to lead, and myself and Sixer Nation included, a lot of us have been defending you, but now it's time for you to win us back over. Because this is ridiculous, man. And I could not be more disgusted. I feel numb saying these things. I never thought I'd be here saying these things. I could say, okay, the Sixers didn't play well enough. They came up short. But this, embarrassment. Embarrassment. And that's all I got. And we'll see how it plays out from here on forward. Props to Maxey. Hopefully the organization can resurrect themselves. But right now it seems dark in Philadelphia. And I don't think the Sixers realize, but a little more of this on the way, they could be teetering with irrelevance in this city. Time to wake up. Catch you on the next one, man. Peace.